Hey, it's Clay at claytrader.com. This is my top 10 stocks as we head into Wednesday, November 22nd. This will be a technical analysis breakdown. So if you're someone that uses charts within your trading, or maybe you're just interested in learning more about charts and how they can be used as a tool to help make good decisions as a trader, this would be a video for you. First off, a couple clarifications. Number one, the candlestick that you see right here will be moving around. That is because the market's still open for a small amount of time. But I like to do these videos when the market is still open because sometimes we can capture some really interesting late day price movement. And then second, I'll be using the 30-minute time frame, meaning each one of these candlesticks here represents 30 minutes worth of time. So stock number one, ticker symbol PLTR, and nasty move here, including this line that I talked about in yesterday's video, that breakout line. Price came up here, broke through it, got a nice quality breakout, and then just like that, kaboosh, down it went during that opening 30 minutes. So truly crazy opening 30 minutes. I'm going to go ahead and get rid of both these levels as they serve their purpose for now. But in the very near term, the key level of resistance to now watch is going to be that purple line there, the 50 period moving average. And that's just based on a foundational rule in charting, which states when levels of support are broken and closed below, they tend to act as resistance. So if there is any sort of attempted turnaround back in the upwards direction, again, that 50 period moving average is going to be that main level to watch very closely. In terms of levels of support here headed into Wednesday, first key level to watch closely, which price got somewhat close to, right down there at $19.60. Then if the price pushes also down through there, next key level after 1960 would be down there right around $19.30. So if anything, if you want to just call this some sort of, a support zone down here, I wouldn't have any arguments against that. But if the price would actually break down below both those levels, that would be a pretty big red flag. But as of now, the overall trend, as you can see here, is still in the upwards direction. But there's no doubt about it, today was definitely a very bearish day. Next one here, SBSW, and no doubt about it, rough day today with the big gap down, and to think that the market opened up right there, but also to give some credit where credit's due, from where it started the day to where it ended, that's a good quality move. But that does lead to the valid question of, yeah, nice bounce, but is there any sort of genuine power behind this bounce? Is there any sort of true strength? And I have no idea. But by using charts, we can make answering that question very straightforward. In my mind, it all revolves around this area right here at $4.10. And why is that level so important? Well, it's all operating under the premise that truly strong moves make progress. Nothing can go straight up, but you at least want to see progress moving forward. Case in point, let's say the price came down here and then just dropped below. What would you have at that point in time? You would quite literally have the price having gone right back to where it was, and not to insult your intelligence, but price movements that go back to where they were, not exactly a sign of genuine power. But as I mentioned, nothing can go straight up. So maybe instead the price comes down here, behaves like that, and then curls back upwards. Now all of a sudden, what would you have? Well, you'd have a set of lows right there. You'd have lows down there. And if you envision each one of those as stair steps, now you have stair steps making progress in the upwards direction. And that's the name of the game. You want to see prices making progress. So in other words, as long as the price can stay up above $4.10, that is progress being made, which is a good sign. In terms of areas of resistance, main battleground to watch if the price tries to curl back upwards right there at about $4.37. Next one here, TSLA Tesla, and very impressive move and a nice pattern here that's formed. But just to set a little bit of context here, you can see that opening 30 minutes today represented by that candle right there. Big, huge green candle on massive volume. And then from there, just basically consolidated out, which is now what's creating a nice little pattern here. So let me just get this pattern drawn into play. And you got to think that a lot of people are watching this dynamic here. But top part of the pattern going to be this resistance trend line right there. And then bottom part of the pattern right here, you have this lower trend line. Let me change that to green to represent support. Then maybe to make the pattern easy to see, let's just keep it one color. So we have our resistance, we have our support, we have the nice upwards move there, we have the golf hole down there, and now, for those of you that are a little bit more visual and golfers, this is what we call a bull pennant pattern. So while there are no guarantees, is it plausible? Is it valid to think that if the price can come up here and break up through that level, that break in and of itself could create additional buying pressure? That is certainly a more than plausible outcome. So if you like bull pennants, and whether you trade stocks or even options, then I definitely keep an eye on Tesla for Wednesday. Next one here, ANGH, and very nice mover today, and very nice mover this afternoon. In fact, as I speak, you can see right now this thing is trying to push to new highs here. That's why I like to do these when the market is open. So really at this point, it's essentially one of these scenarios where we get to ask the question, because if I just draw this in here right here, we had that little miniature area of resistance right there, and there we go. Nice. So it's pushing new highs as I speak. But you can see right now that it is breaking high. or it's breaking to new highs, which leads to the question of, is this the start of something even bigger? Now think about that question. It makes no sense to ask that question if nothing worthwhile is even happening, right? Is this the start of something bigger? Well, is what? Nothing's going on, right? That doesn't make any sense. But in this situation, it makes total sense because something worthwhile is happening. As I speak, this trend line is being broken. So yes, is this the start of an even bigger breakout? To be fair, maybe it's not. Maybe this thing just rolls right back over. But that is a two-sided coin because, well, I mean, maybe it is the start of something much bigger, and this breakout is just going to keep on beast moding into Wednesday. So if you like this price range and you like these sorts of scenarios where you get to ask that exciting question of, is this the start of something even bigger? Definitely keep an eye on it. Next one here, SHOT, shot. And this is a little tricky to talk about because it depends on perspective. What do I mean? Well, if you're a day trader, flipper, scalper, whatever you want to call yourself, and you bought right there and your plan was to buy and sell, or maybe you bought right there and your plan was to buy and sell within 7 minutes, well then yes. From that perspective, the chart looks really bad because there has been this pullback. But when you take a step back and look at the bigger picture of things via this overall trend, you can see that this is just simply, at this point in time, a pullback within a much bigger trend. So, and while I'm not saying this is what's going to happen, let's just say, for example's sake, that the price pulls back even more and goes down to $4.70. Again, I'm not saying that's what's going to occur, but comes down here, behaves like that, and then curls back upwards. Emphasis on big picture, but from the big picture perspective, what would you have? Well, you'd have lows there and there and there and there and there. And if you envision each of those as stair steps, well, you still very clearly have stair steps progressing in the upward direction. And again, that assumes that the price drops even further down to 470. So my point here is this: assuming you're not one of those, some sort of day trader that bought right there, then overall the chart is still completely fine with the pullback today. So if you like playing trends, but you like to get those pullbacks within trends, and you like stocks down below $10, this one seems to meet quite a bit of that criteria. Real quickly, wanted to pause here and personally invite you to get signed up for this free live online class that I'm offering next week. So if you've been enjoying what you've seen and you want to learn more about this tool, how it can and should be used to build consistency and manage risk, then definitely get signed up for the free live class. If you're watching on YouTube, there's a link down in the description box, or if you're watching at my site, there's an area right there on the webpage that you can click to get signed up. So like I said, if you've been enjoying what you've seen, then definitely get signed up for the free live class. Next one here, AMC, and a train wreck of a day, not because it was a red day, but because the price broke through two key areas of support, both $7.26, $7, and then just kept on falling. So a whole lot of supports ruined today. So that's what I mean by, from a technical standpoint, just really nothing good going on at all. I suppose I'll take that back here because there's at least some good stuff going on right now, but the problem is where the good stuff's going on, it's just so much lower than where the price just was. So in terms of areas of resistance, if there is any sort of kind of bounce right there at about $6.75, I would keep an eye on in the near term. Now, as far as the good thing that is going on, you got to give credit where credit's due. At least the price has started to go sideways. Now, don't get me wrong, just because the price has started to go sideways does not guarantee that for sure this is the bottom and that guaranteed for sure this thing is going to reverse itself around. My point here is it's at least a little bit more reasonable to say right now that, okay, hey, maybe AMC is finally trying to bottom out. Case in point, if AMC still looked like this, and I was sitting here saying, hey, it's looking like this is the bottom, you can be completely justified to say, what are you talking about? The price is literally just dropping straight down. But that's not the case, right? The price has started to go sideways, and that is good because it does at least make it reasonable that maybe this is some sort of bottom that's forming. So keep an eye on that dynamic. But with that being said, as far as supports are concerned, nothing fancy here, just a question of where did the bleeding finally stop today. That was essentially at $6.52. So keep a close eye on that, and if the price drops down through there, then that would just illustrate that much more of bearishness taking over. But yeah, overall today, brutal day, but you got some late day sideways movement. So we'll see if that leads to anything in the upwards direction over the next couple days. Next one here, SGD. Did this one a few days ago, and that's where the red resistance trend line is coming from here today. And what makes this interesting in my mind, because you can see opening 30 minutes of the day, the price actually came up there, got the break of that level, and it's not like it continued to explode, but at least started to go sideways, consolidate out. And the key part of that consolidation was this consolidation is right here. Previous consolidation was down here, and not to insult your intelligence, but this consolidation, that consolidation period is bigger than that one. So got some progress being made. So really it's just a question of, okay, got the breakout today, got some consolidation, but is there going to be another round of breakouts to come? And that's where I want to throw in now another trend line, and we'll see if the price can push up through that, this one right here, which sits at that area right there. So keep an eye on that level right there. And if the price can push up through there, well, that would imply that once again, another trend line has been broken. And assuming you're bullish, whenever levels of resistance are being broken, that's always a good thing. In terms of those levels of support, key level to watch, remains down there around that $2.68 mark. So keep an eye on that. But yeah, at least in my opinion, the most interesting dynamic here moving forward is how the price is very close to that area of resistance via that trend line. And can the price break above it? And if it does, will that generate more momentum? We'll see what happens. Next one, Cdio. Been tracking this one closely. And once again today, put in some higher highs and higher lows. And that's always a good thing. And I'm going to make an adjustment here to the area of resistance. And the key question here is, well, what direction is the resistance needing to be adjusted? And after today's movement, I need to adjust this area of resistance up to that level right there at $2.75. And if assuming you're bullish, when levels of resistance need to be adjusted in the upwards direction, that's always a good sign. And then we also have this area of support here that I'm going to adjust up a little bit further. And again, that's good. If you're bullish and levels of support need to be adjusted upwards, that's a good sign. So the newest area of support right there at 215. In terms of just that overarching support, nothing has changed. For those of you that watch the past videos, hopefully you remember me talking about that purple line there, 50 period moving average, and keyword being moving. So as time goes by, that line is going to continue to move itself higher and higher and get more and more relevant. So you'll want to keep an eye on that from more of an overarching standpoint. But as far as what would make the chart look the absolute best in the near term, that would be if the price can stay above 215. But again, if it falls below it, not the end of the world, because you still do have that 50 period moving average. But all in all, another day of higher highs, higher lows, and that's how those uptrends are built. Next one here, TCON. Very nice setup here for you penny stock players out there. And I like it just because there's such a well-defined breakout point that you got to think a lot of people are watching right there at 22 cents. And I make the comment about a lot of people because when there are lots of people watching the same levels and wondering the same thing, call it a self-fulfilling prophecy, call it whatever you want. It can produce some very dynamic movements. So nothing is guaranteed, but is it plausible to think that if the price can come up to 22 cents and get the break up through it, that break in and of itself could create additional buying pressure? That is certainly a plausible scenario if that were to occur. So keep an eye on that dynamic if you like to play those breakouts on penny stocks. In terms of areas of support, a couple levels to keep an eye on. First area right here at the bottom part of this consolidation, which sits down there at the 19-cent mark. And then next level, if the price were to fall below there, is like we just talked about in the previous one, that purple line there, the 50 period moving average. But in my opinion, I think the most interesting dynamic is that level right there. Can the price get up there, break through the 22-cent mark? And if it does, is that going to be a self-fulfilling prophecy of more momentum? We'll see what happens. Next one, ticker symbol TQQQ, which is an ETF that measures the NASDAQ. So if you believe the NASDAQ market is going to rise, this one will also rise. And NASDAQ did have a bit of a pullback today. But from a technical standpoint, let me squeeze this out here. I guess I didn't need to go that much. But very, very solid action. Namely, and this will mean more to those of you that watch past videos, but if you have, you hopefully remember me talking about that purple line there, 50 period moving average. I mean, I've talked about it on past charts too. But I mean, check it out. Just history once again repeating itself. Found support, and then we fast forward to today. Check that out earlier on in the day. Found support and continues to cruise right above that level. So that's a good sign of strength in and of itself. Now, of course, it's not guaranteed to continue to hold, but the fact that it is so far just bodes well and shows that, it was a pullback today, but nothing that, spun out of control or anything like that. If there is going to be any sort of attempted movement back up these highs, mainly that 45.60 mark, in the very near term, the level now that seems to kind of be a little bit of a problem point here is right up there at that $44 mark. So keep an eye on 44 in the near term, and the price can break up through there. And then I'm not saying it's going to shoot straight up to 45.60, but it does start to, thin out a little bit more and, creates that opportunity at some generated upwards momentum. But all in all, yeah, today a pullback for the NASDAQ and for this one, but it held that key level. And as long as the price continues to hold that key level, that's going to be a good sign for the bigger picture. So that wraps up the top 10 list. Again, if you like what you saw here, then definitely get signed up for that class. It'll be a little while, it will be next week, Thursday, November 30th at 7 p.m. Eastern time. So get signed up and hopefully I'll see you there. As far as these top 10 videos are concerned, if you enjoy these, please do a couple things for me. Hit that like button, leave a comment below, turn on your notifications. That always helps too. And that way you don't miss any of these in the future. So thanks for hanging out. Hit that like button and get signed up for that class.